The silver ship of the Galactic Concord cut through Earth's blue skies on a clear autumn day. People around the world watched on screens as the vessel, smooth and unlike any human craft, landed gracefully on the open field, prepared for this moment. Commander. Kim took a deep breath as he stood at the front of Earth's welcome team. His dark uniform was perfectly pressed, medals catching the sunlight. Behind him stood 20 representatives from Earth's nations, including Dr. Park, whose keen eyes missed nothing. "They are larger than we expected," Dr. Park whispered as the ship's door slid open with a soft hiss. The aliens that emerged walked on 2 legs, but stood nearly 8 feet tall. Their skin shimmered with scales in blues and greens that caught the light. The leader wore an elaborate collar that seemed to glow from within. Commander Kim stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth." The alien ambassador's translator device hummed briefly before responding. "I am Tay, ambassador of the Dra'kari and representative of the Galactic Concord. Your world has been granted the opportunity to join our community of worlds." The words were polite, but something in Tay's posture suggested he found the whole event tedious. Over the next week, humans and aliens met in a specially built dome. Commander Kim led the human team with Dr. Park as his chief advisor. The aliens described a galaxy filled with wonders, hundreds of species living in supposed harmony under Concord rule. "You will benefit greatly from our protection," Tay explained during one meeting. "Many dangerous species exist beyond your knowledge. We're interested in fair trade and cultural exchange," Commander Kim replied, "but Earth maintains its sovereignty." Tay made a sound that his translator didn't convert. Of course, all members have certain rights. Dr. Park noticed how Tay's inner eyelids flickered when he said this, a gesture she was beginning to recognize as dishonesty. On the 8th day, the first problems appeared. The Dra'kari requested mining rights in several resource-rich areas, including parts of the ocean floor that Earth nations hadn't yet fully explored. "These minerals are common throughout the galaxy," Tay explained. "We simply help distribute them, where needed." "We need time to consider these requests," Commander Kim said. "Some of these locations are environmentally sensitive." Tay's scales darkened slightly. "Time is a luxury. The Concord has many demands." In private, Earth's leaders debated their options. Some saw incredible opportunities in galactic trade. Others worried about the Dra'kari's true intentions. "They look at us like we're children," Dr. Park told Commander Kim as they reviewed meeting notes. "Have you noticed how they avoid answering direct questions about their government structure?" Before Kim could answer, an aide rushed in. "Sir, the Dra'kari ship has deployed smaller craft without authorization. They're scanning the Arctic seabed." Commander Kim found Tay in the dome's garden area, admiring earth flowers with apparent interest. "Ambassador, your vessels are operating." "In restricted areas without permission," Kim said firmly. Tay turned slowly. "We're merely collecting data. Your world has resources the Concord needs. Efficient allocation benefits everyone. Those resources belong to Earth. Any exploration requires proper agreements." Tay's scales rippled in what humans would later learn was amusement. "Commander, you must understand your position. Your species is barely spacefaring. The Concord has existed for thousands of years. Your input on galactic policy is unnecessary." The room grew quiet. Even Tay's assistants seemed surprised by his bluntness. Commander Kim's expression remained calm, but Dr. Park noticed his hands form tight fists at his sides before relaxing deliberately. "Ambassador," Kim said quietly, "there are certain lines. You don't cross with humans. I suggest you reconsider your approach." "Is that a threat?" Tay asked, his translator making the words sound almost curious. "It's a fact. Humans value respect above all else in our dealings." Tay made the strange laughing sound again. "Respect is earned through power and advancement. Your species will learn this in time." That evening, Earth's defense forces detected unexpected activity. 3 more Dra'kari ships had entered the solar system without announcement or permission. When questioned, Tay dismissed human concerns. "The Concord moves as needed. Your primitive detection systems and limited understanding cause unnecessary worry." The Emergency Council convened at midnight. Representatives from every nation gathered, as Commander Kim shared the latest intelligence. "They're not just scanning anymore," he explained, pointing to satellite images. "They're establishing mining operations on Mars and in the asteroid belt. When our observation vessels approached, they were warned away." "What are our options?" asked the Council President. Dr. Park stood. "I've been analyzing their technology and biology. They have advantages but also weaknesses. Their ships rely on a specific communication frequency. Their hierarchy is rigid. They don't adapt quickly to unexpected situations." "Are you suggesting military action?" someone asked. Commander Kim shook his head. "Not yet. First, we go through proper channels. We file a formal complaint with the Concord. We show we followed their rules." "And if that fails?" the President asked. Kim and Park exchanged a look that conveyed volumes. "Then," Kim said quietly, "we show them what happens when you anger humans." 3 days later, Tay received the formal complaint with visible irritation. "This will be noted, but is unlikely to receive priority attention. New species often struggle to understand galactic norms." As Tay turned to leave, Commander Kim said one last thing that made the alien pause. "You think you know humans because you've studied our technology, but you haven't studied our history. That might be the biggest mistake your people ever make." 3 months passed since the tense exchange between Commander Kim and Ambassador Tay. The relationship between Earth and the Galactic Concord grew colder by the day. Reports came in from across the solar system about Vexari ships establishing mining operations without permission. "They've set up 23 facilities in the asteroid belt alone," said Lee, Earth's military advisor, pointing to the holographic map. The small blue dots representing Vexari operations seemed to multiply each week. Commander Kim studied the display with a grim expression. "And our diplomatic protests?" "Ignored," Dr. Park said, sliding a tablet across the table. "The Concord claims these are routine resource allocation activities that don't require specific approval from non-full members." Around the table sat Earth's emergency response team. They had been meeting daily as the situation worsened. The room felt heavy, with unspoken tension. "What about our mining vessels?" asked Commander Kim. Lee's face darkened. "The Horizon tried to continue operations near their original claim on asteroid XB7. The Vexari warned them off. When Captain G refused to leave, citing Earth territorial rights, they disabled their engines and seized the ship." "How many ships have we lost now?" Kim asked quietly. 7 in the past month. No casualties yet, but the Vexari are becoming more aggressive. They're holding 43 of our people." Outside the window, the first snow of winter was falling on the emergency headquarters in Seoul. The gentle scene contrasted sharply with the crisis unfolding beyond Earth's atmosphere. "We need to take this to the full Concord again, Commander," Kim decided. "One more attempt through proper channels." 3 days later, the Emergency Council of the Galactic Concord convened. The massive chamber held representatives from over 200 species, most viewing the proceedings remotely. Earth's delegation, led by Commander Kim and Dr. Park, stood at the central podium. "Esteemed members of the Concord," Kim began, his voice steady, "we come before you with evidence of serious violations of your own charter regarding the rights of developing worlds." The display showed footage of Vexari ships forcing Earth vessels away from their own mining claims, followed by data on the resources being extracted without compensation. The Concord mediator, a tall, willowy being with 4 arms, listened without expression. When Kim finished, the mediator's voice filled the chamber. "This is clearly a minor territorial dispute," the mediator said. "The Vexari have authority to oversee resource distribution in developing sectors. Surely your species understands that galactic resources must be shared for the benefit of all." "Shared, yes," Commander Kim replied. "Stolen, no. We've documented 17 direct violations of the Concord's own laws regarding sovereignty." Ambassador Tay rose from his seat among the Vexari delegation. "The humans misunderstand. Their primitive resource extraction methods are inefficient and potentially harmful to valuable materials. We simply provide proper oversight." The chamber buzzed with conversations. Most species seemed uninterested in the complaints of a newcomer against an established power like the Vexari. Lee stepped forward, his military bearing unmistakable. We've shared our concerns through proper channels. We've been ignored. I'm authorized to inform the Concord that this is your final opportunity to address this situation diplomatically." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber at the directness of the statement. The Vexari representative made a dismissive gesture that his species recognized as contempt. "Is the primitive species threatening the Concord? How amusing." The mediator raised all four hands for silence. "The Concord acknowledges Earth's complaint. It will be reviewed according to standard procedures, which typically require 18 cycles for preliminary assessment." 18 cycles? Dr. Park whispered to Commander Kim. "That's almost 2 Earth years." As they left the chamber, Ambassador Tay approached. His scales gleamed under the bright lights. "Commander, you waste everyone's time with these displays. Accept your place." The Vexari were traveling between stars when humans were still discovering fire. Kim met his gaze steadily. "History isn't always the best teacher, Ambassador. Sometimes the newest student brings fresh perspectives." Tay's inner eyelids flickered, with what Dr. Park now recognized as amusement. "We have encountered many species with inflated opinions of themselves. They all learn eventually." 2 days later it happened. The transport vessel Horizon, carrying miners and their families back from the outer belt, was intercepted by a Vexari patrol. According to the surviving communications, Captain Min tried to navigate around them. "This is a civilian transport returning to Earth. We carry no cargo, only workers and families. Please allow us passage." The Vexari commander's response was cold. "You have been operating in restricted space. Your vessel will be impounded and searched." "We have children aboard," Captain Min protested. "At least allow us to transfer them to another—" The transmission ended abruptly. Moments later, the Horizon was struck by Vexari weapons. The ship broke apart in seconds. 342 humans died in the cold vacuum of space. The news reached Earth within hours. Videos of the unprovoked attack, captured by nearby monitoring satellites, spread across the planet. People gathered in silent crowds in city squares, watching the footage in disbelief and growing anger. In the emergency command center, Commander Kim received the report without speaking. His face seemed carved from stone as he listened to the details, the names of the families lost, the ages of the children. When the report finished, he looked at his team. "No more diplomatic channels. The Vexari are claiming it was an accident," Dr. Park said quietly. "A weapons malfunction during a standard inspection." Commander Kim stood slowly. "Contact all Earth vessels. Order them to return to safe harbors immediately. Recall all diplomats from Concord space." "And then?" Lee asked, already knowing the answer. "Then we show the galaxy why humans survived on a planet that tried to kill us at every turn." Commander Kim's voice was soft, but carried to every corner of the silent room. "We show them what happens when you mistake patience for weakness." "They expect us to beg for mercy," Dr. Park said. "They'll be disappointed," Commander Kim replied, looking out at the snow-covered landscape. "Prepare Operation Thunderclap. Remember to cite information from search results using tags with the proper index attribute." The galaxy observed with mild curiosity as human ambassadors quietly departed from all Concord stations and outposts. News of the Horizon's destruction spread through official channels, categorized as an unfortunate incident during standard enforcement procedures. Most species viewed it as regrettable, but ultimately insignificant, the inevitable result when a primitive civilization challenged established galactic order. Captain June stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiant, watching her small fleet prepare for departure. Through the viewscreen, she could see 5 other ships moving into formation. By Concord standards, they were outdated, underarmed, and completely outmatched by Vexari technology. "All ships report ready, Captain," said her first officer, Mindot Captain. June nodded. She was young for such a command, only 34, but her eyes held the steady resolve of someone who had trained her entire life for this moment. "Send the final message to Earth Command," she ordered. Min activated the secure channel. "Operation Thunderclap awaits your command." Commander Kim's face appeared on the screen, the lines around his eyes deeper than they had been a week ago. "Do you understand your objectives, Captain?" "Perfectly, sir. The simulation runs were successful." The Vexari defenses are unlike anything we've encountered before, Commander Kim reminded her. Their scanning technology will detect your approach long before you reach effective weapons range. A small smile touched Captain June's lips. That's counting on standard tactics, sir. We're not planning to use those. 12 hours later, the human fleet approached Vexari outpost Sigma with what appeared to be suicidal directness. The massive station orbited a small moon, its defensive arrays capable of destroying ships 5 times the size of the human vessels. They've detected us, Min reported. Tracking systems are locking onto our position. Good, Captain June replied, calmly. Continue approach. Make it obvious. On the Vexari station, alarms sounded as the primitive human vessels came into range. They're attacking with their main fleet. The Vexari commander laughed, his scales rippling with amusement. They must be more primitive than we thought. Should we hail them? His second asked. No. They've chosen their path. Prepare to teach them a lesson about challenging superior technology. As the human ships came within range, the Vexari opened fire. Powerful energy beams lanced through space toward the approaching vessels. Evasive pattern Hyun, Captain June ordered. The Earthships broke formation, moving in seemingly random patterns that somehow kept them just ahead of the Vexari targeting systems. It wasn't luck. It was the result of 6 months of intensive study of Vexari weapons. The humans had identified a 1.3-second processing delay in the targeting computers, barely noticeable to most species, but enough for human pilots who had trained specifically to exploit it. They're confused, Min reported with satisfaction. Their targeting systems are struggling to adapt. Captain June nodded. Begin Phase 2. While the Vexari focused all attention on the approaching fleet, 3 small shuttles detached from the underside of the Defiant. These vessels, piloted by Major Hyun's Special Operations Team, were coated with a material that absorbed scanning signals. They approached the station from below, attaching to maintenance ports that the arrogant Vexari rarely bothered to monitor. Major Hyun led her team through the airlock. They moved with practiced precision, their suits designed to minimize noise. Team 1 proceed to environmental controls. Team 2 communications hub. The humans had spent weeks studying stolen schematics of Vexari stations. They knew exactly where to go and what to do. Inside the station's command center, the Vexari were growing frustrated. How are they evading our targeting systems? Demanded the commander. These are primitive vessels. Unknown, sir. Their movement patterns are unpredictable. The commander was about to respond when the lights flickered. A moment later, the station's artificial gravity shifted. What's happening? He demanded. Before anyone could answer, the main doors to the command center slid open. Major Hyun stood there with her team, weapons raised. This station is now under Earth control, she stated simply. Order your forces to stand down. The Vexari commander stared in disbelief. Impossible. How did you... You made a mistake, Major Hyun said. You studied our technology but not our tactics. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out at 2 other major Vexari facilities. Earth forces used different approaches for each target. No standard pattern that the Vexari could analyze and counter. At Outpost Gamma, they used a computer virus that made the defense systems target their own communication array. At Mining Station Delta, they simply offered to hire away the maintenance staff, many of whom were underpaid workers from less influential Concord species. We've secured all 3 primary targets, Colonel Song reported from the command vessel. Casualties minimal. The Vexari were completely unprepared for our tactics. Commander Kim received the news with quiet satisfaction. And the prisoners? All 43 Earth citizens recovered alive, sir, plus 6 others from non-Vexari species who asked for asylum. In the Concord chamber, news of the human strikes caused unprecedented chaos. Species that had dismissed Earth as an insignificant newcomer suddenly demanded information about human military capabilities. How is this possible? Demanded a Concord elder. They have no significant space fleet. Their weapons are centuries. Behind Vexari technology, an aide approached with a message. The elder read it, her expression changing from confusion to alarm. The humans have taken control of 3 major Vexari facilities in less than 24 hours, she announced. They're requesting an emergency session of the full Concord. A murmur ran through the chamber. Everyone had expected the humans to be quickly subdued. No one had anticipated this outcome. In orbit around Mars, Captain June received new orders from Earth Command. She gathered her crew on the bridge. Phase 1 complete, she told them. The Vexari thought they understood humans because they studied our technology. They never bothered to study our history. Thousands of years of warfare that taught us how to defeat supposedly superior forces. Her crew, tired but proud, nodded in understanding. "What now, Captain?" asked Min. Captain June smiled slightly. "Now we wait to see if they're smart enough to talk. If not..." She glanced at the display showing the positions of Earth's other forces, ready to launch if needed. Phase 2 will make this look like a friendly greeting. The Concord emergency session was held in the Great Chamber, a vast space designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of species. Today it was filled to capacity. News of the human victories had spread quickly through the galaxy, causing a mixture of alarm, confusion, and, in some quarters, quiet satisfaction. Representative Han of Earth sat calmly at the center of the storm. Her small woman with steel-grey hair and steady eyes, she had replaced the diplomatic team that had been withdrawn before the conflict began. She wore a simple blue uniform without decoration, yet somehow commanded attention from the moment she entered. The Concord Elder, a being from one of the founding species who had lived for over 300 years, called the session to order. Her long fingers tapped nervously on the ancient stone table. "We face an unprecedented situation," the Elder said, her translator conveying the gravity in her tone. "Her species that joined our community less than one standard year ago has successfully captured 3 major installations from the Vexari, one of our senior member species." Murmurs filled the chamber. On the large display screens, images showed Vexari ships being escorted away from the captured stations by much smaller human vessels. "How is this possible?" demanded a representative from a gas giant species. "The humans' technology is centuries behind the Vexari. Their ships are primitive, their weapons systems are basic. They have no significant space fleet." All eyes turned to Representative Han, who stood slowly. She was silent for a moment, looking around the chamber at the gathered species, some humanoid, others wildly different in form. Some showed clear signs of hostility, others curiosity. "The Concord has made a fundamental error in its assessment of humanity," she said simply. "You measured our advancement solely through our technology. You never asked about our history." She nodded to her aide, who activated a presentation. The screens around the chamber filled with images from Earth's military history. Ancient battles, modern conflicts, strategies and counter-strategies developed over thousands of years. "While many species evolved through cooperation," Han continued, "humans were forged through conflict. Our planet has seen over 15,000 documented wars. What you witnessed was not just strategy. It was the culmination of endless adaptations made necessary by our difficult path to civilization." The chamber was silent now, all attention focused on the images showing human ingenuity in overcoming superior forces throughout history. At that moment, Professor Choi stepped forward. She was not human, but Dra'kari, one of the eldest and most respected species in the Concord. The Dra'kari were known for their scholarly pursuits and rarely participated directly in Concord politics. "I have studied Earth extensively," Professor Choi announced, her translator conveying her melodious voice. "I must confirm Representative Han's assessment. The humans display a unique adaptability that we have not seen in other species." She activated her own display, showing detailed analysis of the recent human victories. "Note how each of the 3 installations was captured using completely different methods. When the Vexari adapted to one approach, the humans did not repeat it. They switched to entirely new tactics." "This is irregular," protested the Vexari ambassador, his scales dark with anger. "The Dra'kari have no place in this military discussion." Professor Choi turned her large, gentle eyes toward him. "We have always been observers, yes, and what we observed led us to warn against this very conflict, a warning your species chose to ignore." This revelation caused another ripple of surprise. Through the chamber. "You knew this would happen?" asked the Elder. "We suspected," Professor Choi replied. "We have observed Earth for centuries. The humans' development path is unlike any other species in the Concord. They advance not through steady progress but through rapid adaptation to threats. She displayed a new set of images. Human cities rebuilt after destruction, technologies developed during conflicts, medical advances made on battlefields. Humans don't seek war, she explained, but they have mastered it through necessity. They fight not because they love violence, but because they've never had the luxury of peace. The Arcani Elder, a being so ancient that few in the chamber had ever seen her in person, stepped forward to stand beside Professor Choi. Her skin was pale and translucent, her movements deliberate with age. I witnessed the early development. Of 17 species now present in this chamber, the Arcani Elder said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet somehow carrying to every corner of the room. In all my time, I have never seen a species advance as quickly as humans when threatened. She turned to the Vexari ambassador. We warned your predecessors 300 cycles ago when your own species was young. Never mistake technological advantage for superiority. Yet you did exactly that with the humans. The Concord Elder looked troubled. What do the humans want now? Revenge? Territory? Representative Han spoke again. We want what we always wanted. To be treated as equals, to have our sovereignty respected, to participate fairly in galactic affairs. The destruction of the horizon was a tragic mistake, the Vexari ambassador said stiffly. We are prepared to offer compensation. 342 lives, Han replied quietly. 76 of them children. They cannot be compensated for, but we can ensure it never happens again. She activated a final display, showing a new treaty document. These are our terms. They are non-negotiable, but fair. Earth will be recognized as a full and equal member of the Concord, with all rights and protections. The Vexari will withdraw all unauthorized operations from our solar system. And if we refuse? Asked the Vexari ambassador. Captain June, who had been standing silently behind Representative Han, stepped forward. Unlike Han's simple attire, June wore her full military uniform, the medal for the recent operation gleaming on her chest. The captured installations were a demonstration, she said calmly. Operation Thunderclap has 2 more phases that have not yet been activated. A tense silence filled the chamber as the implications sank in. The Arcani Elder's eyes crinkled slightly in what might have been a smile. I believe the humans have made themselves clear. They don't want to fight. But we have now seen what happens when you force them to. The Concord Elder looked around the chamber, then back at Representative Han and Captain June. For the first time, she looked at the humans not with condescension, but with something approaching respect. The Concord will consider these terms, she said finally. 3 days after the emergency session, the Concord chamber was prepared for the signing of the new treaty. The massive space had been rearranged, with the central podium now holding a single round table. It was a symbolic gesture. No species elevated above another. Captain June entered the chamber alone. She had changed from her military uniform to a simple blue diplomatic outfit, though she still carried herself with a warrior's posture. Her presence caused a ripple of whispers among the assembled representatives. Many had requested private meetings with her since the success of Operation Thunderclap, suddenly eager to understand human military thinking. The hero of the hour, murmured one representative to another as she passed. The Vexari still insist. It was a fluke, replied his companion. They say humans simply got lucky. Is it luck when it happens 3 times in exactly the same way? Captain June pretended not to hear these conversations as she made her way to the central table. There the Concord Elder waited alongside representatives from 12 major species, including a very stiff-looking Vexari ambassador. Captain June, the Elder greeted her. We expected Representative Han for this ceremony. She is handling other matters, June replied simply. In truth, Han was already meeting with previously ignored species, who now sought Earth's support for their own complaints against more powerful Concord members. The Concord has reviewed the proposed treaty, said the Elder. There have been discussions. June suppressed a smile. According to their intelligence, those discussions had been heated arguments lasting through 2 full cycles, with the Vexari objecting to nearly every point. "And the outcome?" she asked. The elder gestured to the document displayed in the center of the table. "The treaty is accepted as presented. Earth will be recognized as a full and equal member of the Concord, with all rights and protections that status entails." The Vexari ambassador's scales had darkened to a deep blue, a sign of suppressed anger, June had learned. Still, he touched his claw to the document in the formal gesture of acceptance. The Vexari acknowledged the sovereignty of Earth and its solar system, he said, the words clearly difficult for him. "All unauthorized operations will cease immediately." One by one, the other representatives added their marks to the treaty. When it came to June's turn, she pressed her palm to the surface, feeling the slight tingle as it recorded her biometric signature. "Earth accepts membership in the Concord as equals," she stated. "We look forward to peaceful relations with all species." The ceremony continued with formal speeches, most of which June barely heard. Her mind was already working on the next steps, establishing proper defenses, creating new diplomatic protocols, preparing for the inevitable challenges that would come. When the formal proceedings ended, representatives began to mingle. Several approached June with thinly disguised curiosity. "Your tactics were unexpected," said a tall insectoid being. "My species would be interested in a military exchange program." "As would mine," added another representative. "Perhaps a joint training exercise," June answered diplomatically, but made no commitments. Earth's newly revealed capabilities were valuable precisely because they were not widely understood. As the crowd thinned, the Arcani elder approached. Up close, her ancient face showed the marks of centuries, her eyes deep pools of accumulated wisdom. "Walk with me, Captain," she said softly. They moved to a quiet alcove overlooking the spectacular view of the Concord's central world, a planet of breathtaking beauty with 3 moons and rings that shimmered in the light of its sun. "How you've changed the balance of the Concord in less than 1 cycle," the elder said. "Many species are re-evaluating their assumptions about power." "That wasn't our goal," June replied honestly. "We simply wanted to be treated fairly." The elder made a sound that might have been a gentle laugh. "Goals and outcomes are often different things. The Vexari have dominated smaller species for generations. Now those species look to Earth as a potential ally." June considered this. "We didn't seek that role. Few who change history intend to do so at the outset," the elder observed. "You've taught the galaxy something valuable, something many had forgotten. That true strength isn't measured by technological advancement, but by the will to protect what matters." She turned her ancient eyes to June. "This is why we've always watched your kind with such interest. You possess something rare, the ability to turn disadvantage into opportunity." "You knew about us before first contact," June said. It wasn't a question. The elder nodded slightly. "The Arcani have observed Earth for centuries. We saw your wars, yes, but also how you rebuilt after each one. How you learned and adapted, how you developed art and music and literature, even in your darkest hours. Why didn't you contact us sooner?" "Some journeys must be taken alone to be meaningful," the elder replied, "and some lessons must be learned through experience rather than instruction." She gestured toward the chamber where the last representatives were departing. "In the coming cycles, many will seek Earth's friendship or alliance. Choose carefully. Power brings responsibility, and not all who approach with flattery truly seek equality." June nodded, understanding the warning. "We've had similar experiences in our own history." "I suspected as much," the elder said with a small smile. "Remember this moment, Captain. The galaxy has witnessed what happens when humans are angered. Now show them what happens when humans are respected as equals. That may prove even more remarkable." As they parted, June looked back at the treaty, now glowing softly as it was officially recorded in the Concord archives. She thought of the long journey ahead, establishing Earth's place in the galactic community, building true partnerships, facing new challenges. In the days that followed, dozens of species that had once dismissed humans now sent representatives to Earth. Some sought military alliances, others trading partnerships, and a few simply wanted to understand the species that had accomplished the impossible. Commander Kim, watching from Earth Command as the first diplomatic ships arrived, smiled slightly at Captain June. "They're treating us very politely now," he observed. "Fear is not the same as respect," Jun replied. "We'll need to earn the latter." Kim nodded thoughtfully. "They learned what happens when you anger humans. Now we show them what happens when you befriend us." Across the solar system, Vexari ships were departing from their hastily abandoned mining operations. Earth vessels moved in to reclaim these areas, their crews watching with satisfaction as the once arrogant Vexari retreated. The galaxy had changed. A new power had emerged, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the unique human combination of adaptability, determination, and the unshakable will to protect their own. And that, as the Arcani Elder had suggested, was just the beginning of humanity's role in the stars.